that was fighting for gay rights, and people were killed.
Nobody was killed at Stonewall.
Nobody was killed.
I want to start off this video by going outside of the box. Instead of regurgitating the same point that the franchise is no longer the way that it used to be in terms of the success that each queen can get out of competing on a given season, we will go in with the assumption that we're all aware of the fact that since the franchise has expanded into dozens of seasons per year, spanning internationally, that the length of time most queens have to be able to enjoy being at the top of the biggest platform for drag has drastically decreased. All that being said, it's interesting to explore the new way that queens are jumpstarting their careers. But before we start, are you someone that has an online following or is trying to build one? Well, this video is brought to you by Squarespace, the super easy platform that helps you build a website without the stress. Whether you're a creator, a business owner, or just want to share your work online, Squarespace has everything you need to get your site up and running in no time. You might think that it's hard to make your own website from scratch, but with Squarespace, it doesn't have to be. Their drag and drop builder and sleek professional templates make it simple to create a site that fits your vision. No coding skills required. Pick a design, tweak it to match your style, and you're good to go. Although what really sets Squarespace apart, it's its integration system. Everything you need to run your site is in one place. If you're selling products or services, Squarespace Payments lets you quickly set up a store and offer payment options like Apple Pay, Klarna, and Afterpay. Want to grow your brand? Their SEO tools help your site show up in more searches, bringing in the right people. Ready to take your website to the next level? Click the link in the description, and once you're ready to go public, get 10% off your first website or domain. Now, let's begin. When it comes to the opportunities present within the Drag Race world, there's really two main pathways. One is the debut season pathway. This is where usually everyone in the cast is competing for the very first time, debuting their drag character to the whole world. The second tends to be the All-Stars pathway, where queens return either for their second, third, or even fourth time to the competition. Throughout the history of the series, even prior to the boom in international franchises, while the main seasons always had a huge appeal, there was something about All-Stars editions that felt so much more exciting. I mean, these are all queens that we've gotten to know, being aware more or less of what to expect from each of them. But there's another layer to it, and it's the fact that All-Star seasons tend to provide the contestants themselves with more power over the outcome of the elimination, raising the stakes to a point where there's always a sense of tension in the air that can translate into an elevated viewing experience from the audience. This is significant because it begins to blur the line between All-Stars being an event that you have to know who each of the queens competing are, to quite literally just an amalgamation of drama where you're watching queens constantly getting into conflict with each other, which is always fun to see. The reason this is relevant is how the new era of the series has evolved into All-Stars sort of being a key requirement to the longevity of a queen's career, if they want to have a chance at having a flourishing relevancy with the general fanbase moving forward. For example, UK vs. the World was the first international All-Star season to take place. It included a range of contestants spanning from the United States, the UK, Canada, Holland, and Thailand. While countries like the USA and the UK had queens that were largely known thanks to the fact that they came from RuPaul hosted editions, the rest were sort of at an impasse. Canada, while English speaking, did not have RuPaul as a host, which decreases substantially the amount of viewers that tune in. In the case of Holland, they are not English speaking. So again, another blow to the overall amount of people that is going to tune in to watch, because most people can't be bothered to read subtitles. In the case of Thailand, it was even more of an odd child in the lineup, because at least Holland had some relevancy with its franchise, given that it was just starting off. But Thailand had pretty much been cancelled for over 4 years. And Pangina Heels never competed in the series, as she was one of the main judges for Thailand season 1 and 2. But why does any of this matter? The breakthrough stars from UK vs. the World Season 1 were Jimbo from Canada's Drag Race Season 1 and Pangina Heels from Drag Race Thailand. Both of these individuals were for the most part largely unknown to the general fanbase. Yes, those that paid attention online would have heard of both of them and be able to recognize their name, yet it is a much different experience when you actually tune in to watch them compete on an actual televised season, instead of just being aware of the franchise they're a part of. What this proved was how, at least in regards to queens from international seasons, that if they can just get into an all-star season, they will dramatically increase the possibilities of what their career could become. I mean, Pangina Heels went on to essentially be a staple within the franchise, earning a lot of respect from people and rebooting the Thailand franchise by becoming the main host of the 3rd season. And Jimbo went on to be invited to All Stars 8, being the first Canadian queen to compete in the main American franchise since Brooklyn Heights. Except Jimbo actually ended up being crowned by RuPaul this time. All that being said, the issue that most queens run into nowadays is that even if you have a stellar run on your original edition, regardless of whether you're for the main franchise or less popular ones like Sweden, is that once it stops airing, there's like 5 more editions that start to air right after the other, sort of making you old news. I mean, let's take season 17 as an example. At the time that it was airing, all of these queens were at the forefront of our attention and held a lot of power to their online presence, and even the ability to get booked well outside of their direct local communities. Yet now that it's been almost half a year since the finale for season 17 aired, we see how the winner, Anya Nerve, while still actively touring and finding success in her career, has faced a dramatic shift in terms of her overall online presence and relevancy. Instead, we've seen the rise of Corey King, Lydia B. Collins, and Susie Toot as the breakthrough online stars that have come out of this edition. It's present in how they've been able to brand themselves to perfection. Corey has a thriving YouTube channel, Lydia just came off of a successful run on All Stars 10, and Susie Toot has this aura about her that has translated into truly being a standout from the overall cast. It goes without saying, they are for sure making the most out of their time in the spotlight, while at the same time setting down the seeds for their future successes. I can imagine, for example, that while they're all doing this heavy touring around the world, they're actively planning what their next steps will be when eventually season 18 rolls around and suddenly things become slightly more challenging. Yet the more important question is, how can they fully solidify their position in the sphere of this super fast growing industry? For that, let's take a look at individuals that were able to defy all the odds into actually establishing themselves for long-term relevancy. Marina Summers, who was the runner-up of Drag Race Philippines Season 1, returned for UK vs. the World Season 2, instantly having all eyes on her as the one to watch. Throughout her run, you could see even RuPaul garner this obsession towards her, even blessing Marina with the line, "You were born to do drag," which she only really says to a handful of queens. Marina, shockingly, did not go on to win the crown, despite making it all the way to the final of the season. Regardless though, her post-show trajectory is nothing less than that of a winner. She's been a key name that people recognize and constantly is invited to really big pride gigs all over the world. Mind you, it's already been almost 3 years since UK vs. the World Season 2 aired, and she's without a doubt the most successful post-season trajectory that we've gotten to see from that lineup. What I like the most though is how her home country has embraced her so much. Everyone there clearly views Marina as one of the pillars of Filipino drag, and she was even included to be a part of a 4-person girl group comprised of the winners of Drag Race Philippines Season 1, 2, and 3, sort of signaling that to them, Marina is a winner, even if she doesn't have a crown. Now listen, what this means is that the time period between a queen's debut season and their All-Stars return is one where they should be cultivating as much as they can in regards to their drag persona. Oftentimes, queens get defined by their original edit, and when they come back to All-Stars, it's their chance to rewrite history. Of course, most queens aren't successful at creating this redemption narrative, otherwise everyone that returned would be getting redemption storylines. But if there is any chance at doing so, this is the platform where it will most likely happen. It's important to note that it isn't easy to manage your career after going from being a local girl to suddenly getting on a televised competition show that's being viewed by people all over the world. I can imagine that it's actually overwhelming to a lot of these queens. So they stick to what they know. They attend their bookings, make a good amount of surplus money, which they've never been able to make before. Connections also start to be made as they begin to network among other Drag Race queens, and even big events like DragCon turn into this sort of family reunion to them, where in there, they truly are the stars with people recognizing them left and right. Unfortunately though, if you aren't able to capitalize off your success, all of these achievements that make you feel like you finally achieved your lifelong dreams and that you'll be able to be stable for the rest of your life start to all of a sudden fade away. That surplus cash you were making that allowed you to be so much more comfortable in your life, even being able to step up your own drag by purchasing outfits from designers all start to go away. The new season begins to air, clubs start prioritizing them over you. Not only do your bookings start to disappear, but the amount of money you charge for your booking fee also has to go down if you want a chance at these venues actually wanting to hire you. Because quite frankly, you are no longer a big ticket item for them. Look at Mistress Isabel Brooks, for example. She lost season 15, but upon her return to All Stars 10, we saw when she entered the merge how she had that moment where she said that she didn't really care about what happened in the competition because she could go home and play video games on YouTube and she'd be set for the rest of her life. Her saying this was super petty, but it was also 100% the truth. When All Stars 11 airs next year, most of the queens from All Stars 10 that are making bank right now will have to lower their booking fees. But Mistress will be able to keep hers the same because hundreds of thousands of fans tune in to watch her every single week. A clear indicator of how much relevancy she's actively holding on to. Quite frankly, the way she was able to establish her YouTube channel, subsequently going on All Stars 10 and using her run to boost her online presence even more, is something that many other queens should be taking a note of. Returning to All Stars is in fact a rejuvenation of your career, but it's also yet another cycle that you've been through before. You should go into it with a clear plan on what you will do differently, not just within the competition, but also outside of it. We see, for instance, that even if you're a queen that has a stellar run and goes on to win the All Stars crown, that it doesn't always directly translate to longevity in your career moving forward. And if anything, it's sort of sentencing that there's actually not much of a possibility for any future appearances on the series unless you're going to come back to do an all winners edition, which is very, very rare. In conclusion, that's sort of where we're at now. Drag Race obviously isn't a one and done situation anymore, and pretending that it is sets a lot of queens to get lost in the shuffle. All Stars has basically turned into a real start of a Drag Race career. Unless you're a queen that's from one of the American seasons and has a very lucky trajectory in their postseason run, you'll most likely be looking at All Stars as your next opportunity to capitalize off your fame. Whether that's a fair thing or not doesn't really matter, but honestly, if queens understand that going in, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It just means that the game has changed. Your first season introduces you. All Stars is where you actually get to decide who you're gonna be moving forward. And if you play it right, the second shot can do way more for you than the first time ever could. So yeah, are queens useless until All Stars? Maybe not everyone, but given that we're about to enter 2026, that might just be the new reality. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to click the link in the description to get 10% off your first website or domain. I want to take a moment to thank my patrons. In the Elite Pink Squad, we have Matthew Burns, Gay Uncle, Sari Tish, Las Potitas, Cool Gal Nan, Jet Sam Adams, and Natasha De Leon. And in the Gay Squad, we have Lone Resident, Christine Gregory. And in the Green Squad, we have Kamen Rider Furry, Edgar Allan Pup, The Only Sean, IJS, Not a Punch, but a Keek, Jack Beck, Galeria Gomez, Sarah G, Scarlet Rose, Boiled Peanut, Not an Omelet, but an Egg, Max Whale, Dea, Dea, and Niall O'Hearing. If you'd like to see your name on the screen, you can support me on Patreon. The link will be in the description.